Wow, look at this place. Hello everybody, welcome back. Actually thought I'd bring you along for a walk today. I'm actually walking near my place. There's actually an old church back here. It's a couple hundred years old. A place where everybody used to gather and eat. It's not actually in use anymore. And some gravestones that go back, some of them as far as 200 years. Some of them are just field markers. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. Heading back down on one of the trails I like to go down. Don't worry, I'm going to show up on the video eventually, but just thought I'd take you guys down and show you around. It's very beautiful, beautiful country. I thought I'd like to jump into today's topic a little bit. And that is that we really need to keep perspective on the fact that most of the things that we worry about are completely not going to matter in much shorter time than most of us realize. Hey everybody, welcome back. A little bit sweaty, but I've been hiking through the woods here. It's been actually really, really nice. And if you saw at the beginning of the video, I took you on a little bit of a tour of the old church. It's a, pretty quick walk from where I live. A lot of history there. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson of the land around where I live. The graveyard there, no one's been buried there actually in quite some time. Most of the graves, as I mentioned in the video, some of them go back as far as 200 years, and there's field stones unmarked a little bit further back even than that. And the church itself, been there a long time. I don't think anybody ever uses it for anything anymore. Most of the families that lived in this area from that time period pretty much have either passed away or their descendants moved on at a certain point. So it's kind of eerie sometimes to come back and take a look at it all. I've actually found the foundation of one of the main homes that actually was in use here quite a bit. I think through several generations of what I researched, and it's pretty incredible because the foundation is almost completely gone. Like there's some stones left and there's some leftover things that you can find in the foundation, but as far as locating it, it was actually fairly difficult. It had been left there for about 90 years, and very close by there is a graveyard, a family graveyard that actually the forest, once this was turned into a park, had grown up all the way around it, and as they were doing trails and putting in trails to allow people to hike back in, they eventually rediscovered it. So yeah, that was pretty incredible. You can go back in there and take a look at it, and that area is completely filled with field stones and a lot of old gravestones. And I have to say that this to some degree inspired the video today. Just the realization of just how short our time is here and what really matters. And you begin to look at everything and realize you struggle to pay for a vehicle to keep it on the road, and you spend a lot of time worrying about that, never really realizing as you're doing it that thing's going to be rusting away at some point. It's not even going to matter at some point down the road, and no one else is going to care about it. Just us as we're using it, but no one else is going to care. And the home that you live in, if it's still standing a couple hundred years from now, somebody else will be living in it. They might not even know who you were. And it really puts into perspective, I think, the things that matter. Personal peace, being able to get out in nature, being able to reclaim your life to some degree, the realization of just the frailty of everything. And to some of you, you might even find that disturbing. I've had people tell me, hey, why are you talking about this? I don't want to think about finality. I don't want to think about any of that. But to some of you, you'll find this comforting. And for those of you that find it comforting, realizing, there will be a time 100 years from now where none of us will be here worrying about any of the things that we're worrying about, debating any of the things that we're worrying about or struggling over. All of that will eventually cease, and it will just be peace. All your struggles, your fights, your arguments, the people you felt like, you had to prove something to, those arguments cease and everything ends and it's over. And sometimes it's important to really get a measure of perspective. So even if you can just get to a point where you can start to let go of whatever current struggle you're dealing with to some degree and just realize this too will pass. And it will. This too will pass, and that struggle will be over at some point. Whether it's a financial one, a personal relationship, you'll get to a point where years from now you'll look back at it and say, what was I even worried about? What was I even so frustrated about with that particular struggle that I allowed it to mess up my personal peace and fail to appreciate everything that was going on around me at the time? You know, just being able to get outside and take a walk in nature and appreciate everything that's out here. And you can't even do it because you're so wrapped up in the problem that you have right now that you just, you know, it kind of engulfs everything that you've got, and you need to be able to learn to let go. Just learn to let go of all of that and realize that over time, it doesn't matter. It could be, one of the major things I've learned over time is you go through something like a breakup or something like that where you're no longer in a relationship, or you end up cutting ties with certain people, and it just feels like, oh my gosh, they were such a huge part of my life for so long, and now they're not there anymore. And there's sort of a disconnect where you get so emotionally wrapped up in all of that and so mentally wrapped up in all that at a certain point you finally realize, you know, that doesn't really matter anymore. You get a couple years out and you get this level of clarity that is just absolutely amazing when it comes to all of that. And you begin to realize, wow, it really didn't matter, and I just allowed it to sap my appreciation of other things in my life, potentially maybe other people, the ability to get out and appreciate a good walk in nature, or just the things that are around us that really do matter. You know, just a few of those moments right there. And we tend to allow it to swallow it up. And I know I've done a lot of videos about relationships, and I've done a lot of videos about the collapse of our economy, and a lot of stuff that can kind of sound like doom and gloom. But when it comes down to it, my heart really is in just trying to get out and have a peaceful walk and let go of all the things that really, in the end, they aren't going to matter. They're not going to matter, all that struggle and all of that stuff, because at some point, as you get older, you realize it doesn't matter. And then one day when we leave this planet, it's definitely not going to matter. So it's absolutely important to put that into perspective. Now, I realize that there are many people that are watching my videos that you'll have varying views and ideas when it comes to where we go when we die. I actually did a video on near-death experiences and what, generally speaking, what most people experience with that, whether it's a good or a bad thing, whether they experience something horrific or something just incredibly powerful. They see God, they see Jesus, they see, you know, they just realize that the peace beyond this world is always so much better than the hellish world that we're in. And I think that that is absolutely true, that there's peace beyond this. I know some of you may not completely agree, but then again, how many of us have stepped beyond to see it? So, on that note, if you can, try to get out into nature this weekend. Try to just get away from your struggle or whatever fight you have going on and get perspective. Because it's absolutely incredible when you can do that. And with that, I'm going to leave it here, because I'm going to go for a walk and enjoy some of this myself. I might record a little of it and add it on the tail end of the video here, but it won't be pointed at my smug mug. It will be pointed out into the beauty that I'm walking through. So I hope to leave you guys with that, and hope you have an amazing weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Here we go. You guys can join me on my walk back. You'll notice it's a little bit the path less traveled, but I kind of like it that way. And if you can hear it, the birds are out in force today. It's pretty crazy. Pretty much hear them all over the place. All right. Well, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my walk. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend.